My name is Helen Givens. I'm 28 years old. It was 8 p.m., October 14th, 2014. I was 17. My mother stood in the doorway. The porch light behind her turned her face into shadow. The bruise on my cheek was still fresh, dark purple, swollen under my left eye where I'd hit the cabinet door the night before. She looked at me, at my backpack, at the bruise. "If CPS shows up here," she said, "don't bother coming back." I walked 2.3 miles in the dark. Hoodie pulled tight against the cold, backpack cutting into my shoulders. October air sharp enough to make the bruise throb with every step. I thought I'd been kicked out for refusing to lie, for being difficult, for choosing honesty over keeping the family together. I lived with that story for 11 years. Last October, a woman I'd never met handed me a cassette tape. White label, blue ink, shaky handwriting. Kitchen, October. Inside that tape was a conversation, recorded the morning after my bruise, before I woke up. My parents weren't panicking. They were planning. This is what I found. Before I continue, if you end up liking the story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely connect with it. Drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now let me take you back. 1830 Redwood Lane, Prince William County, Virginia. 4-bedroom colonial. Brick front, 2-car garage. The kind of house that looked exactly like the houses on either side of it. From the outside, we were perfect. My father, Lawrence, sat on the school board. 6 years running by the time I was 17. He wore khakis and button-downs. He spoke in measured tones. He never raised his voice because he didn't have to. My mother, Patricia, ran the PTA. She organized fundraisers. She coordinated volunteers. She knew every parent's name, every teacher's name. She smiled like she'd invented the concept of community involvement. I was the daughter who checked every box. Varsity cheer by junior year. 3.8 GPA. 5 AP classes senior year. I was supposed to go to UVA. That was the plan. Their plan. Our kitchen smelled like dish soap and the faint scent of whatever candle my mother had burning that week. Usually something called autumn harvest or vanilla bean, the kind of smell that's supposed to make a house feel like a home. The counter was always clear. No clutter, no mail stacked up, just the coffee maker, the knife block, and whatever my mother was using to cook dinner that night. We ate at 6 p.m. every night, all three of us. No phones, no TV. My father would read the newspaper while we ate. My mother would ask me about school, about homework, about whether I'd scheduled my SAT retake. It looked normal. It was normal. Except for the rules. "We don't do drama in this house," my mother said once, slicing chicken breast into perfect strips. "We do discipline." Discipline had rules. Unspoken mostly, but clear. Rule 1. No closed bedroom door during family hours. 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., my door stayed open. Even when I was studying, even when I was getting dressed. Privacy was something you earned, not something you were owed. Rule 2. No complaining. About school, about cheer, about anything. If you had a problem, you managed it quietly. Rule 3. Image first. Always. What the neighbors thought mattered. What the church saw mattered. What got said at parent-teacher conferences mattered more than what actually happened. "People remember the families that fall apart," my mother told me once. We were driving home from church, Sunday morning, the sun coming through the windshield. "We are not that family." I believed her. My father had a phrase he used when things got tense. When I pushed back on a grade. When I asked if I could skip a church event. When I questioned a decision. "We manage problems before they become stories." I didn't understand what he meant until much later. He meant, control the narrative before anyone else can. There were small signs. Cracks in the perfect image. March of my junior year. I got a B+ in AP Calculus. Not failing, Not even bad. Just not an A. My father confiscated my phone for 9 days. Until you can prioritize correctly. I didn't argue. I learned not to. Another time, I don't remember when exactly, I came downstairs upset about something. A fight with a friend. Something stupid and teenage. My mother looked at me from the kitchen. "Fix your face," she said. Not unkind. Just matter of fact. No one wants to see that. I went back upstairs. I fixed my face. By the time I was 17, I'd gotten good at reading the room, good at knowing when to stop talking, good at being small. Cheer was the only thing that felt like mine. I'd started sophomore year, made varsity junior year. By senior year fall, I was one of the flyers, the girl they toss in the air during stunts. It required trust, precision, and for 3 hours a day, 4 days a week, I didn't have to think about college applications or SAT scores or whether I was managing my face correctly. I just had to fly. My parents saw it differently. "Cheer looks good for applications," my father said during junior year. We were in the kitchen. He was reading the paper, didn't look up. But it's not a plan. By senior year, they'd stopped asking about practice. They only asked about my SAT scores, about essay drafts, about campus visits. The pressure wasn't loud. That's what people don't understand about control. It doesn't have to scream. My father never yelled. He made statements. He laid out facts. He presented decisions that weren't up for debate. "You'll retake the SAT in November," he said in September. Not a question, a directive. "You'll apply early action to UVA," he said in October. Again, not a question. I thought I was doing everything right. I thought if I just kept following the plan, everything would be fine. October of 2014. I thought I knew all the rules. I was wrong. I didn't know yet that perfect families don't happen. They're rehearsed. Monday, October 13th, 2014. Cheer practice ended at 6:15. I got home at 6:30. Both cars in the driveway. My father's silver sedan. My mother's white SUV. That was unusual. My father didn't usually get home until after 7 on weeknights. But there he was, home early. I walked in through the garage. My cheer bag, blue Nike duffel, slung over my shoulder. I was still in practice clothes, shorts, team shirt, ponytail pulled tight. The house felt wrong. I can't explain it better than that. It just felt wrong. Dinner was at 6 like always. Chicken, rice, steamed broccoli. My mother plated everything in silence. We ate. No one spoke. The only sounds were forks on plates, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of a neighbor's lawnmower outside. I finished eating, started to stand. "Sit down," my father said. His voice was calm, flat. That's when I knew it was serious. "Helen, we need to talk about priorities." My mother stayed near the sink, arms crossed. She didn't look at me. That was the second bad sign. I sat back down on the stool at the kitchen island. My father stayed standing. He didn't sit. He stood on the other side of the island, hands flat on the counter. "You're quitting cheer," he said, effective immediately. I thought I'd misheard him. "What?" "Cheer is over. You're done after this week. You need to focus. SAT retake is November 8th. Early action applications are due November 1st. A P exams in the spring. You don't have time for distractions." "Cheer isn't a distraction," I said. My voice sounded small even to me. "It's on my resume. Coach already wrote my rec letter. It's senior year." "This isn't a discussion," he said. I looked at my mother. She was still facing the sink, still not looking at me. I said something I'd never said to my father before. I said, "No." The word hung there. My father's jaw tightened. His body language shifted, still calm. Still controlled, but different. "Give me your phone," he said, "until you can make better decisions. I need it for practice, for the team schedule, for—" "Give me the phone, Helen." He reached for my cheer bag on the counter, the blue duffel I'd set down when I came in. I grabbed the strap. Instinct, not defiance, just reflex. He grabbed my wrist. Not violent, not a hit, just firm. The way you grab something you're taking from someone. I pulled back. The momentum, his grip, my pull, sent me stumbling sideways. There was a cabinet door open, upper cabinet, oak, the one above the counter near the sink. Someone had left it open after putting away dishes. The corner of the door caught my cheekbone, just below my left eye. Sharp, cold, metal edge. I tasted blood immediately. I'd bitten the inside of my lip when my face hit. I didn't scream. I just stood there. Hand on my face. The taste of copper in my mouth. My father was already walking away, out of the kitchen, down the hall. I heard his office door close. My mother's voice came from behind me. Go clean yourself up. Not, are you okay? Not, let me see. Just, go. I went upstairs, locked the bathroom door, turned on the light. The bruise was already forming, dark red spreading under the skin, the size of a quarter, right on the cheekbone, a small cut where the cabinet edge had broken skin. I ran cold water, pressed a washcloth to my face. I thought, tomorrow, someone will see this, someone will ask. I thought, good, let them see. I didn't know my mother was already planning what she'd say when they did. Tuesday, October 14th. 6:10 a.m. I woke up to my alarm, reached over, turned it off. The bruise was worse. I knew it would be. Bruises always look worse the next day, but knowing it and seeing it are different things. I went to the bathroom, turned on the light, dark purple now, swelling under my eye. The cut had scabbed over, small but visible. The bruise itself was the size of a plum. Impossible to miss. I tried makeup, foundation, concealer. It didn't work. The bruise was too dark, the swelling too pronounced. I thought, school will notice. The nurse will notice. Someone will ask what happened. There was a small part of me, the part that hadn't learned yet to be afraid, that thought, good. I heard voices downstairs, low, muffled. My parents were awake. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was what was happening in that kitchen while I stood in the bathroom trying to cover a bruise I couldn't hide. Eleanor Finch lived next door, 73 years old, widow. She'd lived in that house since 2003. Yellow siding, white trim, chain link fence between our yards. Eleanor was an early riser, always had been. 5:45 every morning like clockwork. She had a routine, coffee first. Then she'd sit in her living room by the window and record voice memos on her cassette recorder. An old habit from before smartphones. She'd leave herself reminders, notes about the garden, things to tell her granddaughter when she called. That Tuesday morning, Eleanor pressed record at 6 a.m. She was going to remind herself to water the tomatoes, to call Karen back about Thanksgiving plans. Her phone rang. Karen, calling earlier than usual. Eleanor walked to the kitchen to take the call. Left the recorder running on the living room windowsill. She forgot about it. Our houses were close, 20 feet between her living room window and our kitchen window. Maybe less. October in Virginia. Still warm enough that people left windows cracked overnight to let in cool air. Our kitchen window was open, just a few inches, but enough. The recorder kept running. At 6:15 that morning, my parents were in the kitchen, talking. I was upstairs, still in my room, just waking up. The cassette tape captured everything. My mother's voice, clear, calm. If they ask, we say cheer practice. She fell during a stunt. My father's voice. A basket toss. Landed wrong. That's simple. My mother. Believable. But we need her to say it first. If we say it for her, it looks coached. Pause. My father. What if she won't? My mother. Then she's choosing to make this a problem. More talking. Quieter. I couldn't make out every word on the tape when I finally heard it years later. Static. Distance. But the next part came through clear. My mother. The bruise didn't come from cheer practice, Lawrence. It came from you grabbing her. We both know that. My father. So we make it come from cheer, that's the version. My mother. And if she tells someone the truth? My father. If she's not here when they start asking questions, it changes what this is. Runaway teen, not abuse. Silence. Then my mother's voice again. I'll call the hotline this morning, before the school does. My father. Smart. My mother. If I report her first, if I say she's been volatile, that she won't explain the bruise, that I'm concerned, then when the school calls, we're already the worried parents. We already tried. My father. Paper trail. My mother. Exactly. The tape kept rolling. 30 minutes total. Side A of a 90-minute cassette. Eleanor came back to her living room around 7 a.m. She saw the recorder still running. Pressed stop. Later that day, she rewound it to listen to her reminder about the tomatoes. She heard voices, not her own. She listened for 2 minutes. Then she stopped. She wrote on the label in blue pen, Kitchen, October. She put the tape in a box with her old photographs, her late husband's watch, things she didn't know what to do with but couldn't throw away. She didn't know what else to do. But that Tuesday morning, I didn't know any of that. I came downstairs at 6:50. My parents stopped talking when I walked in. My mother looked at my face. No expression, no reaction. My father spoke first. You're going to tell anyone who asks that you fell during cheer practice yesterday. Basket toss. Landed wrong. That's the story. I started to say it didn't happen that way. He cut me off. That's what you're going to say. I didn't fall at practice, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. You know that's not true. That, my father said, voice still calm, still flat, is the story. My mother turned from the sink. If you make this complicated, Helen, it gets worse for everyone, especially you. I left for school at 7:20. I didn't answer them. I thought I still had a choice. I didn't know that by 7:20 I was already in a file. My mother had called the Virginia CPS hotline at 7:20 a.m., 8-minute call. I found out about it 11 years later when a social worker handed me the case file. Call log, October 14th, 2014, 7:20 a.m. Caller, Patricia Givens. Relationship, mother. The caseworker who took the call typed up notes. Caller reports concern, daughter Helen Givens, age 17. Caller states daughter has exhibited increasingly defiant behavior. Came home yesterday with facial bruise, refuses to explain how injury occurred. Caller concerned daughter may be engaging in self-harm or attention-seeking behavior. Requests, guidance. Keywords flagged. Defiant, refuses to explain. Self-harm, attention-seeking. Case number assigned, VA-PW2014-103891. My mother sounded worried. Reasonable, like a parent trying to do the right thing. That was the point. 4 hours and 27 minutes later, at 11:47 a.m., my school nurse filed a report. Beverly Crawford, 38 years old, school nurse for 6 years. She'd seen me twice before for minor things, sprained ankle, migraine. She called me to her office during second period. Helen, I need to ask you about your face. I told her the truth, all of it. The argument about cheer, my father grabbing my wrist, me pulling away, the cabinet door. She wrote it all down. You did the right thing telling me, she said. I believed her. She filed her report at 11:47 a.m., mandated reporter, required by Virginia law. But by then, My mother's version had been in the system for 4.5 hours. By then, I was already the problem. I didn't know the truth had already been buried. The school day dragged. Teachers noticed the bruise. A few asked. I said I was fine. I didn't elaborate. Fourth period, I got called to the counselor's office. Lunchtime, I went back to the nurse. She asked more questions. I answered them. I went through the rest of the day on autopilot. Classes, hallways, sitting with Jenna at lunch, not eating, not talking. I got home at 4:05 p.m., both cars in the driveway again. The house was silent when I walked in. I went to my room, closed the door, technically against the rules during family hours, but I didn't care. I sat on my bed, waited. Dinner at 6, chicken again, silence again. We ate. No one spoke. 7:15 p.m. My father pushed his chair back. Living room. Now. I followed. Sat on the couch. They stood. Someone from your school called CPS, my mother said. Her voice was ice. My stomach dropped. We know you talked to the nurse, my father added. Not angry. Just done. My mother leaned forward. Tomorrow morning, you call Mrs. Crawford. You tell her you were upset. You exaggerated. You tell her it was cheer practice or what? I asked. Or you deal with the consequences. I can't lie about it, I said. That's not what happened. My mother's face went completely flat. Then you've made your choice. 7:45 p.m. Pack a bag, she said. I didn't understand. What? Pack a bag. You're leaving. Tonight. Where am I supposed to go? My father. That's not our problem. You can't stay here if CPS is going to investigate. You made this mess. You're not dragging us into it. I went upstairs. My mother followed. She stood in my doorway. Didn't help. Didn't speak. Just watched. I packed my backpack, clothes, phone charger, school binder. I didn't take much. I thought, somehow, stupidly, that I'd be back in a few days. 7:58 p.m. I stood in the front hallway, backpack on. My mother stood in the doorway, porch light behind her, her face in shadow. If CPS shows up here, she said, don't bother coming back. I walked out. October night, cool, 58 degrees. I was wearing jeans and the same hoodie I'd worn to school. Red, Osborne Park cheer on the front. Jenna lived on Maple Grove Drive, 2.3 miles. I walked. No one called. No one texted. No one came after me. The streetlights flickered on as I walked. My phone buzzed once, Jenna asking where I was. I texted back, walking to your house. Can I stay tonight? She said yes. I walked in the dark, my breath coming out in small clouds, my backpack straps digging into my shoulders. I thought I'd been kicked out for being difficult, for refusing to lie, for choosing honesty over keeping the peace. I thought it was my fault. I would carry that belief for 11 years. I didn't know yet that I hadn't been kicked out in anger. I'd been removed, like evidence. Jenna's parents, Dave and Linda Richardson, didn't ask many questions when I showed up that night. Linda made up the guest room in the basement. Twin bed, floral comforter, smell of laundry detergent and carpet cleaner. You can stay as long as you need, she said. I stayed 8 months. I finished senior year from their house. I sat at their dinner table. I used their shower. I folded my clothes in their laundry room. Linda asked me once, quietly over breakfast, "Do your parents know where you are?" "They know," I said. They did. They just didn't want me back. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't know for years, was that my mother had told CPS I'd left voluntarily, that I'd chosen to stay with a friend, that they'd tried to help but I refused. No missing persons report was ever filed. The CPS case that had opened October 14th proceeded without me. October 17th, an investigator interviewed my mother. Patricia was calm, cooperative. She explained that I'd been struggling, defiant, Dramatic. That I'd left after a family disagreement about school priorities. October 20th, a note in the file. Minor no longer residing at family address. Per mother, staying with friend voluntarily. October 28th. Multiple attempts to contact minor unsuccessful. November 12th. Final note. Unable to interview minor. Mother reports minor left home voluntarily. School nurse report appears to reflect exaggerated account given during emotional distress. Minor residing with friend's family. No current risk. Recommend closure. November 18th, 2014. Case closed. Classification. Voluntary departure. Family conflict. No abuse substantiated. I was never interviewed. The file closed without my voice in it. I graduated in June of 2015. Quiet ceremony. The Richardsons came. They cheered when I walked across the stage. My parents didn't come. March of 2015, I'd turned 18, legally an adult. It didn't matter anymore whether I was home or not. From 2015 to 2017, I went to Northern Virginia Community College. I worked part-time at Target. Red polo, name tag, 20 to 25 hours a week at $9.50 an hour. I graduated with an associate's in general studies. Not UVA, not the plan. But it was something. I moved into a shared apartment in Manassas, 3 bedrooms, 2 roommates I barely knew. I paid $425 a month. I kept my head down. When people asked about my family, I said, "We're not in touch, it's complicated." Then I changed the subject. I got very good at that. From 2017 to 2020, I worked as an office admin. $32,000 a year. I moved into a studio in Woodbridge, $875 a month. 1 room, kitchenette, bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. I told myself I was fine. I told myself I'd made my choice. I told myself that if I'd just said it was cheer practice, if I'd just lied like they wanted, I'd still have a family. I believed it was my fault. That's what they wanted. And it worked. For 6 years, I lived small. Quiet. I didn't make waves. I didn't push back. I worked. I paid rent. I kept to myself. October was always hard. I didn't understand why at first. Then I realized. Anniversary. October 13th. The cabinet door. October 14th. The expulsion. Every October I felt it. Tightness in my chest. Trouble sleeping. The feeling of waiting for something bad that had already happened. I avoided certain things. Kitchens with oak cabinets. The street I grew up on. Prince William County entirely if I could help it. I never called my parents, never texted, never reached out. Part of me was still waiting. Waiting for them to call. To say it was long enough. To ask me to come home. They never did. I lived like someone who deserved it. That's the worst part. Not the bruise, not the walk in the dark, not even the years alone. The worst part was believing I'd earned it. October 8th, 2025. I was 28. I worked as a program coordinator for a youth advocacy nonprofit in D.C. $42,000 a year. Not much, but the work felt like it mattered. My phone rang at 2:47 p.m. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, sitting in my car in the parking lot after work, I played the message. A woman's voice. Older. Calm, but serious. My name is Janet Reeves. I'm a retired social worker. I have something that belongs to you. Something about October 2014. Please call me back when you can. I sat there. October 2014. I hadn't heard those words said out loud in 11 years. I called her back. We met October 10th, Saturday. Common Grounds Coffee Shop in Manassas. Janet Reeves was 58. Gray hair pulled back in a low ponytail, kind face. The kind of face that had seen a lot and learned when to be gentle. She ordered tea. I ordered coffee I didn't touch. "I'm going to tell you a story," she said, "and then I'm going to give you something, and I need you to listen all the way through before you react. Can you do that?" I nodded. Your neighbor, Eleanor Finch. She passed away last year. September 2024. She was 83. I remembered Eleanor, yellow house, always waved when I walked by. Her daughter, Karen, was cleaning out her mother's house this past October. She found a box of personal items, photos, letters, and a cassette tape. Janet slid a small piece of floral notepaper across the table. Eleanor's handwriting, shaky but legible. If anything happens to me, this belongs with someone who can use it right. I should have been braver. Another piece of paper. An index card. Blue ink. Heard them through the kitchen window. Didn't know what to do. Karen didn't know what to make of it, Janet continued. She found my name in her mother's address book. Eleanor and I knew each other years ago. Karen mailed me the tape in January. It took me 9 months to find you. She slid a cassette tape across the table. Sony 90-minute tape. White label yellowed with age. Blue pen. Kitchen. October. Your mother called CPS the morning after your injury, Janet said quietly. Before your school could report, she called at 7:20 a.m. The school nurse didn't call until 11:47, 4.5 hours later. She slid a folder across the table. Inside, a copy of a file. Case number VA-PW-2014-103891. The file says you were volatile, defiant, attention-seeking. It says you left home voluntarily. She paused. The tape says something different. I picked up the cassette, turned it over in my hands. The label. Eleanor's shaky handwriting. Kitchen. October. What's on it? I asked. Your parents, Janet said. The morning after. Before you woke up. They were planning what to say, what to do, how to handle it. She looked at me. You need to hear it. But I'm warning you, it's going to hurt. I held the tape for 3 days before I could bring myself to listen. I was afraid of what I'd hear. I should have been. October 13th, 2025. 8:30 p.m. I borrowed a cassette player from a coworker, Emma. She'd kept hers from college. Said her grandmother used to send her tapes. I sat in my apartment. Studio in Woodbridge. Desk by the window. Parking lot lights coming through the blinds. I put the tape in the player. Pressed play. Static. White noise. Then my mother's voice. Clear, calm, like she was talking about grocery lists. If they ask, we say cheer practice. She fell during a stunt. My father's voice. Same tone, measured. Basket toss. Landed wrong. Simple. My mother. We need her to say it first. If we say it for her, it sounds rehearsed. I stopped the tape. My hand hovered over the button. I couldn't move. They'd rehearsed it. They'd practiced the lie before I'd even woken up. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at the cassette player, not moving. Finally, I pressed play again. My father's voice. What if she won't say it? Pause. My mother. Then she's choosing to be difficult. More talking. Quieter. I couldn't make it all out. Static. Distance. Then louder again. My mother. The bruise didn't come from cheer, Lawrence. It came from you grabbing her arm. My father. So we make it cheer. That keeps us safe. I stopped the tape again. I stood up, paced, sat back down. I didn't listen to more that night. October 14th, the next day, 11 years to the day after I'd been kicked out. I was in my car, lunch break, parked behind my office building. I made myself press play. My mother's voice. If she tells the nurse, CPS will call. My father. If she's not here when they investigate, it's different. It's not abuse if she chose to leave. My mother. You're saying we should. My father. I'm saying if she won't cooperate, she's making the choice. Long pause on the tape. Then my mother again. I'll call the hotline, this morning, before school. I rewound. Played it again. I'll call the hotline. This morning, before school. I pulled out the CPS file Janet had given me. Maternal report. Patricia Givens. October 14th, 2014. 7:20 a.m. School nurse report. Beverly Crawford. October 14th, 2014. 11:47 a.m. 4 hours. 27 minutes. My mother had called first. She'd called CPS on me before anyone else could. I sat in my car, engine off, windows up, and I screamed. Not words, just sound. Then I cried. Then I threw up in the parking lot. They'd weaponized the system meant to protect me. They made me look dangerous before I ever got to look hurt. October 16th, 2:30 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I put the tape back in. Let it play. My father's voice. She's almost 18 anyway. If she's gone before then, she can't file anything herself. My mother. March. She turns 18 in March. My father. Exactly. 5 months. If she leaves now at 17, it's voluntary, not expulsion. I stopped the tape. They'd been counting down to my birthday. They needed me gone before I turned 18. I pressed play again. My mother. What if she comes back later? What if she tries to tell people? My father. We'll already have the file. We called first. We reported concerns. She refused help. She left. Pause. My father again. Paper trail beats memory. My mother. Always. I understood then. This wasn't just about getting rid of me. It was about making sure I could never come back and tell the truth. They were destroying my credibility before I even knew I needed it. October 18th. I listened to the part I'd been avoiding. My mother's voice. I'll say she's been volatile. That she won't explain the bruise. That I'm worried she's hurting herself or making things up for attention. My father. Good. When the school calls later, you're already the concerned parent. My mother. If I call first, it frames everything. I cross-referenced with the file. Keywords in maternal report. Volatile, defiant, attention-seeking, refuses to explain. All of it, word for word, planned. October 20th, 11:47 p.m. I made myself listen to the end of side A. My father. If she's gone when CPS comes around, there's no case. Just a runaway who wouldn't take responsibility. My mother. You think she'll actually leave? My father. If she won't say what we need her to say, we'll make sure she does. Silence on the tape. 4 seconds. I counted. Then my mother's voice. Quieter. Almost like she was second-guessing. She's not a bad kid, Lawrence. Pause. Longer this time. My father. Then she'll figure it out somewhere else. Sound of a cabinet closing. Water running. My mother one more time. I'll make the call at 7:15. Static. End of side A. I sat there. Cassette player still running. Empty static hiss. My mother had said I wasn't a bad kid. She'd said it out loud. And then she called CPS anyway. For 11 years, I thought I'd failed them. Thought I'd ruined everything by refusing to lie. The tape said they were done with me before I even came downstairs. The tape said I was never meant to win. October 19th. I reread the CPS file. It was different now that I'd heard the tape. Before, I'd read it thinking maybe they were right. Maybe I had been dramatic, attention-seeking. Maybe I had exaggerated. Now I read it knowing it was a script. Page 1. Intake report. Caller Patricia Givens. Mother. Date/time, October 14th, 2014/7:20 a.m. Duration, 8 minutes. Summary. Caller reports concern regarding daughter Helen Givens, age 17. Caller states daughter has history of dramatic reactions, defiant behavior. Daughter came home with facial bruise yesterday, refuses to explain injury. Caller concerned daughter may be engaging in self-harm or fabricating story for attention. Requests guidance. Keywords flagged. Dramatic, defiant, refuses to explain, self-harm, attention-seeking. Concern level, moderate. Caseworker, M. Stevens. My mother had sounded worried. Reasonable. A parent trying to do the right thing. Page 3, School Report. Reporter, Beverly Crawford, RN. School Nurse. Date/time, October 14th, 2014/11:47. AM Summary. Student Helen Givens, 17. Presented to nurse's office with bruising to left cheekbone, small laceration below eye. Student reports injury occurred during argument with father regarding extracurricular activities. States father grabbed her wrist, she pulled away, struck open cabinet door. Injury consistent with account. Student cooperative, credible affect. Recommendation. Follow-up required. 4 hours and 27 minutes after my mother's call. By then, the narrative was already set. Page 4. Investigation Notes. Investigator, L. Morrison. October 14th, 2014. Case opened. 2 reports received. Conflicting accounts. Mother reports behavioral concerns. School reports family altercation. Minor interview required. October 17th, 2014. Mother interviewed at home. Cooperative. States, minor has been increasingly defiant. School expectations. College applications. States minor left home voluntarily on October 14th following disagreement. Currently staying with friend. Mother declines to file runaway report. States, this is her choice. October 20th, 2014. Minor not at residence. Unable to contact for interview. October 28th, 2014. Multiple contact attempts unsuccessful. Mother confirms minor residing with friend's family. November 12th, 2014. Recommend closure. Minor not located for interview. Mother's account indicates long-standing behavioral pattern. School report likely reflects exaggerated claims made during emotional distress. Minor in stable alternate placement. No imminent danger. November 18th, 2014. Case closed. Classification: voluntary departure/family conflict. Finding: no abuse substantiated. I was never interviewed. The file closed without my voice in it. I read the file 3 more times. The pattern was clear. My mother called first. She used specific words: dramatic, defiant, volatile, attention-seeking. When the school called 4.5 hours later, the investigator already had a lens, already had a narrative. Troubled teen, concerned parents. When I left home that night, it confirmed everything my mother had said. See, she's unstable. She left. The file made me the problem before I could become the victim. That was the plan. And it worked. For 11 years, their version lived in a file. Now I knew mine. October 20th. I put in side B, the second half of the tape. 30 more minutes. I'd been avoiding it. I knew it would be worse. I was right. Around minute 23, my mother's voice. She turns 18 in March. My father, 5 months. My mother. If we wait until then, she could file reports herself. She could go to police. She'd be an adult. My father. So we don't wait. Pause. My mother. If she leaves now, at 17, it's different. It's voluntary, not abandonment. My father. Runaway teen, not victim. My mother. Exactly. I stopped the tape. They'd been calculating. Timing it. 5 months until I turned 18. 5 months until I'd have legal standing to act on my own. They needed me gone before then. I pressed play again. Minute 31. My mother. What if she tries to come back later? What if she tells people what really happened? My father. She can try, but we'll have the file. We called first. We reported concerns. The record will show we tried to help and she refused. My mother. And if anyone believes her? My father. Paper trail beats memory. Every time. Pause. My mother. So we're protected. My father. We're protected. Minute 36. My father. If she's gone when CPS investigates, the whole thing shifts. It's not about what we did. It's about what she chose. My mother. She chose to leave. My father. Exactly. Then the part that broke me. Minute 39. My father. She's almost 18 anyway. If she's gone before they ask questions, there's no case. My mother. Do you really think she'll leave? My father. If she won't say what we need her to say, we'll make sure she does. 4 seconds of silence. Then my mother. Quieter. She's not a bad kid, Lawrence. Longer pause. 6 seconds. My father. Then she'll figure it out somewhere else. Sound of water running. A cabinet door closing softly. My mother. I'll make the call at 7:15. Static. End of tape. I sat in my apartment. 11:47 p.m. The same time I'd walked across the stage at graduation. The same time the school nurse had called CPS. I'd listened to the whole tape, both sides. I understood now. I hadn't been kicked out for refusing to lie. I'd been removed because I was a variable they couldn't control, a risk, a loose end. The 17-year-old girl who walked to Jenna's house in the dark, she never had a chance. They'd written the script before she woke up. They'd called CPS before she could. They'd made her look unstable before she could look hurt. For 11 years, I thought I'd failed. The tape said they were done with me from the beginning. October 21st. I called Janet. I heard it, I said, all of it. I'm sorry, she said. Don't be. I needed to hear it. What do I do now? We met the next day. Janet brought someone with her this time. Sarah Brennan, attorney, family law, 44, sharp eyes, calm demeanor. You can't sue, Sarah said immediately. Statute of limitations on assault, abuse, it's past. You're outside the window. I'd expected that. But, she continued, you can petition to amend your CPS record. It's administrative, no time limit. You submit evidence. If it's strong, they'll correct the file. The tape, I said. The tape is gold, Sarah said. Your mother's voice, your father's, both admitting they fabricated the story, admitting they called CPS first to frame you as unstable. Combined with the school nurse's original report and your account, it's compelling. Will they fight it? They could, but I doubt it. The tape is damning. If they contest, it goes to hearing. They'd have to explain that recording. I don't think they want that. Sarah leaned forward. There's something else. Virginia is one-party consent for recording. If you want to confront them, talk to them, you can record the call without telling them. Why would I do that? Because if they say anything that contradicts what's in the CPS file, it strengthens your case. And, she paused, because you might need to hear them respond. I thought about it. I didn't want an apology. I didn't even want them to admit it. I wanted the file corrected. I wanted the truth on record. Let's do it, I said. We met twice more. November 6th. November 13th. Sarah drafted the petition. I wrote my affidavit, a statement under oath. Janet wrote hers. On November 14th, I made the call. 7:30 p.m. I sat in my car, parked outside my apartment, phone on speaker, recording app running. I dialed my parents' landline, same number from 2014. I'd looked it up. Still active. 3 rings, then, hello? My mother's voice. The same voice from the tape. The same voice that had said, if CPS shows up here, don't bother coming back. It's Helen, I said. Silence. 4 seconds. Then, what do you want, Helen? Her voice went cold, flat. I want you to hear something. We don't have anything to say to you. You don't have to say anything, I said. Just listen. I held my phone up to the cassette player. Pressed play. 90 seconds. The part where she says she'll call the hotline before the school does. The part where my father says paper trail beats memory. The part where she says I'm not a bad kid and he says I'll figure it out somewhere else. Then I stopped it. Silence. 12 seconds. I counted. I could hear her breathing. Then, that's... She stopped. Where did you get that? My father's voice in the background. Muffled. Who is it? What's going on? My mother, to me. You don't understand what we were dealing with. I understand perfectly, I said. My voice was calm, controlled. I understand you called CPS before I could tell anyone the truth. I understand you rehearsed a lie. I have the tape. So does my lawyer. Silence. You're trying to, she started. I'm correcting the file, I said. That's all. The CPS file from 2014. It says I was volatile, attention-seeking, that I left voluntarily. The tape says otherwise. So I'm fixing it. More silence. Then my father's voice, closer now. Hang up. My mother, to him. She has, hang up now. Back to me. Helen, you need to understand. I understand, I said again. I'm correcting the record, that's all I wanted you to know. I hung up. The call had lasted 11 minutes, 23 seconds. The silence after I played the tape, that 12 seconds, was longer than any conversation we'd had in 11 years. That was enough. November 18th, 2025. 11 years to the day after my CPS case had closed. Sarah filed the petition to amend the record. Evidence submitted. Cassette tape. Digital copy plus authenticated transcript. Eleanor Finch's note. Index card. Heard them through the kitchen window. Janet Reeves' affidavit. My affidavit. Original school nurse report, resubmitted for emphasis. Recording of November 14th phone call, my parents not denying the tape's authenticity. We waited. December 10th, 2025. CPS agreed to amend the record. New entry added to case file. VA-PW-2014-103891. Amendment, December 10th, 2025. Original case closure, based on incomplete investigation. Minor's account, per school nurse report, corroborated by evidence obtained in 2025, including audio recording indicating initial maternal report contained inaccuracies regarding minor's behavioral history and circumstances of injury. Record amended to reflect, minor was displaced from family home following injury sustained during family conflict on October 13, 2014. Displacement was not voluntary departure. Minor not interviewed during original investigation due to removal from home. Classification changed from voluntary departure to displacement following family conflict. It wasn't perfect. The record still existed. The original report was still in there, but now so was the truth. For 11 years, their version had lived in a file. Now mine did too. My parents never called back after November 14th. I didn't expect them to. This time, the silence felt different. Not like rejection, like a door I'd closed myself. December 2nd. I started therapy. Dr. Anjali Patel, trauma specialist, $140 a session, sliding scale. I told her about the tape, about the file, about the 11 years I'd spent thinking I deserved it. She asked, "What do you need to forgive yourself for?" I thought about it. "Nothing," I said. She nodded. "Good. I still have triggers." October. The anniversary hits hard every year. Kitchens with oak cabinets. I avoid them when I can. The sound of a cassette clicking into a player. Sharp inhale every time. But I don't cry anymore when people ask about my family. I can say, "We don't speak," and leave it at that. I don't owe anyone the story. December 15th, small thing, but it mattered. I needed to make a backup of the tape, digital copy for the lawyer, for the file. I put the cassette in the player, pressed rewind. My hands didn't shake, first time. December 28th. I met Janet for coffee, same place as before. I brought her a copy of the amended record. She cried. I didn't. Eleanor would be so relieved, Janet said. I wish she'd felt safe enough to do something sooner, I said, but I understand why she didn't. She left you the tape, Janet said. In the end, that's what mattered. We talked about what comes next, whether I'd consider advocacy work, CPS reform, helping other kids who get written into files wrong. Maybe, I said. Not yet, but maybe. You have time, Janet said. December 31st, New Year's Eve. I stayed home, alone, by choice. I thought about the two versions of October 14th, 2014, a 17-year-old girl walking in the dark, thinking she'd ruined everything. 2025, a 28-year-old woman playing a tape for the people who'd tried to erase her. What changed wasn't that it stopped hurting. It still hurts, but I don't carry it alone anymore. The truth is witnessed now. The file is corrected. My voice is mine. I keep the cassette in a fireproof box. Small, metal, locked. Not because I want to listen to it, because I need to know it exists. Proof. I wrote in my journal that night. October 2014, they made me leave. October 2025, I made them listen. For years, I thought that kitchen was where my life split in half. I was wrong. It was where they rehearsed the split. The tape proved it. I didn't get my family back. I got something better. I got the truth on record. I got my voice back. I got to stop apologizing for October. The 17-year-old who walked in the dark finally has someone who believes her. Me. If this story connected with you, I hope you'll share it. Not for me, for the people carrying stories someone else wrote about them, for the ones who still think they deserved it. You didn't. If you're trying to figure out what happened to you, if you're still untangling the narrative, I hope you find your tape, your proof, your voice. It's out there. Sometimes you just have to wait for the right person to hand it to you.